Welcome to the Green Lab Futures Talking Social Innovation podcast with your host, me, Scott Douglas. We'll be bringing you the conversations that we are having with industry, education and the community to help us develop and shape our views and understanding on the future roles of social innovation. We hope you enjoy. Scott from Green Lab Futures, and we're talking social innovation with Phil Orr from 25Eight. Thanks for joining us today on the conversation, Phil.
Yeah, thanks very much for the opportunity to have a chat, Scott. Really appreciate it.
No problems. And so we're going to talk a lot about the work that you're doing within 25Eight today, and obviously some of the work with the regional growth project that you've been working towards as well, which sounds really amazing for regional Australia. So let's jump in. Would you mind just giving us a bit of background about your work and the work of 25Eight?
Yeah, so personally, as people probably hear from my accent, I'm from England originally, and I moved over here, was smart, made an Australian here, got lots of kids and stuff, and absolutely love it. But my background was actually corporate and working in Nokia for like nearly 20 years in technology and customer experience and stuff. And during that time, I actually lived in a rural village just north of Cambridgeshire. So it's like the local pub, the local shop and stuff. And so I had this background from there, came over here, live on the outskirts of Melbourne now up by the airport. But by a bit of serendipity, I met Samantha Hurley, who's my business partner, who's from a mining village in the UK. We didn't even know each other in the UK. We're both very smart made Australians, and we've set our homes up here. But we started to realise that we were both very passionate about upskilling people, so building the capability of business leaders and teams rather than an agency approach where people like to keep their secret herbs and spices to themselves. We were going like, what's screwed is like, we need people to be able to build their own education and help train them so that they build their skills, build their confidence, which means that they're more willing to try new things, which hopefully their businesses grow. And there's this long-term effect of, by helping businesses grow, we can actually then help society. We can help in terms of mental health. We can help create new jobs. So like that originally was Marketing Entourage, and that's merged into become now 25Eight, because we were originally focused on marketing related, but now we realize it's about just adopting innovative business practices to things around increased revenue, save time, help create jobs and stuff. So hopefully by doing this around SDG8, it's helping create this halo effect that it supports, whether you're in a city or whether you're in a regional or rural community or in the outer metropolitan. It's easy for me to say outer metropolitan like I am, that everybody has this chance to look at personalized transformational learning experiences rather than the transactional approach of you've got a 1 hour workshop on Facebook where people might remember something during that session, by the next day and life takes over, they can't remember it, or there's no one to go back to and go, what you said in that session, can I ask more? So 25Eight was born. It's now a certified B Corp. So Sam's super passionate about becoming a B Corp. She's led that process. It's been fabulous. More around the building the foundations of a business based on purpose rather than profit, but it links to who you employ, what the impact you want to make in the world. We set a goal of like trying to support at least 20 million business leaders or teams. We're trying to think big in terms of 20 million people in entrepreneurship and creativity and innovation by 2030. So setting that North Star, and then trying to work with like-minded businesses and partners for the greater good of society rather than just about what we can get out of it.
Yeah, right. And that's a real shift that we're now seeing in society. And I think you mentioned on one of our panel events a few weeks ago that businesses now aren't just setting up for the sake of setting up. They're building this real for-purpose framework to make sure that they have something else to give back, which is really, really fantastic, isn't it?
With everything that's happened with COVID, people have started to reflect on what they're doing and what the impact is, you know, the impact on their local community, on Australia, on a global scale. And also, like, even with kids leaving school now or going through that, you know, like they are questioning that thought of, you know, is it about money? And don't get me wrong, people do like flash things occasionally, but, you know, like, if you're going to get out of bed every day, what are you doing, and what are you trying to solve? You know, how can you support? So I think when we started our B Corp journey many years ago now, B Corp was like, you know, even, oh, what's a B Corp? But now I think people are starting to get that more within, like, say, that social innovation and entrepreneurship thing about going, well, this is a good way to establish a business. You know, you still want to get a profit so that you can reinvest it into your staff, your people, or anything that you're passionate about. But, you know, you're surrounded by some amazing companies like Patagonia, you know, all the way down to like smaller businesses who are all got the same thing about trying to think about the greater good and how to support everybody. It's fab. It's really good. I recommend, people don't know about it, just have a look at the B Corp website, have a look at the directory and the types of businesses, because they're the ones who are trying to have that impact, and we want to try and help more people like that.
That's actually a good tip. Yeah, so head on over to the B Corp website, because it's a bit aspirational when you see some of those other businesses that are listed there. I know my first experience when I looked at it, I was like, oh, this sounds really, really fascinating, and I'd love to be B Corp registered one day. And then I started to look through and just thought, wow, these businesses they've adopted this model from day dot, not from kind of halfway through. And like you said, that journey to get accredited or registered really sounds like it's something that can become very much a passion, but it drives the for-purpose sector even further here in Australia, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's you know, it's mind-blowing who's there, but that's it. If you build it in the foundations, it then means that you attract the right staff, you find the right partners to work with, the right customers. You know, we've had a phrase of like, no, are they the right fit for us? In the same way, are we the right fit for them? And it's about working with the right people. So we've got certain measurements inside us, you know, in terms of the business, about who we want to work and who we want to support. But that's really why the Regional Growth Project came about, was that we wanted to try and look at ways to have an impact, but maybe more of a collective work on that, rather than just trying to do things on ourselves. I mean, with 25Eight, we build programs, we build events, we work a lot with federal government, state government, local councils to help build these programs. But we also work with individual businesses. So the people we meet on our journey, do things through the project and some of the programs we run, we can actually help them look at their digital services, their marketing, but by upskilling them. So we rather than us do it all for them, we'll take some of the heavy lifting, but over time our success is that they don't actually really need us anymore. So it's like, well, they can do it themselves, or they've got someone in the business that we can train, so they can go, okay, I get that now, but then we're there for them for a longer period, rather than that sort of transactional approach.
Yeah, right. And so tell me, so we've just touched on the Regional Growth Summit, the Regional Growth Project, just a teensy little bit, but how did that come about, and how does that look right now?
Well, it's about 3.5 years ago now. It's actually 3 years since we did the first summit as part of the project, but it was actually working in regional and rural communities with local councils. So we were doing things like mentoring and different programs and stuff. And, you know, I'm quite blessed. I live by Melbourne Airport, but it's always been good. So whether I drive in any direction, I've only got like a mere 5 or 6 hours before I touch the end of Victoria, and then also working a bit in New South Wales and Queensland. But there were some common themes that were coming up all the time. And if you're based in a big city, if you're based in Melbourne, you know, pre-COVID, you could literally have a co-working space where you probably could sleep underneath the desk and no one would know, and you could get fed and drunk every night of the week by going to some event where someone's trying to help you with some education, pitch training, like, you name it. It's just amazing. And then you go out to Warwick Nabil up in, you know, northwest, And there is nothing. There is like the local community trying to help themselves, and some amazing people, but that support mechanism isn't there. You know, like it was like, well, how do we help do that? But you know, like again, it's not like us going in and taking over. It's like, well, how can we empower the local community and help them and build inspiration and practical advice that they can take into their business straight away. So, you know, like we started the project. We were really lucky. Bendigo had their Invention and Innovation Festival, and I got invited to go up and run a workshop at a lunchtime. Initially, I knew David Hughes, who was leading it at the time. And then from there, the next year, he said, look, do you want to help run the Seed channel, which was around startups and entrepreneurship? So we had a day, and we built in this regional growth summit. So Sam and myself and the team, we went, why don't we have a summit and get all these case studies and stories together and actually share them so that people learn from like-minded people. So the project itself is about driving innovation, but it's all like increasing the competitiveness of regional rural communities. So if we can help level the playing field, then, you know, like all these things about people wanting to move to the regions and stuff is like trying to link into, you know, making sure that there's the right people. And, you know, even if you have a family business who we can help them grow enough so that they employ another person from that community, that's a win. It's not necessarily about creating super organizations and building unicorns. It's just trying to help like-minded communities and entrepreneurs and business people come together. So it's that connectivity, not just micro within a township, or you know, it's actually across the state, and actually hopefully as we're building across the regions where we can all support each other and build with that. So the project's really start to grow now. We've managed to get the state government of Victoria, who've become a partner with us and supporting us. We've gone from just doing a summit. We did 2 summits last year, actually, because of COVID and the challenges, to now we have a regional growth showcase as well, which is the first one we're doing this year, again in partnership.
It really rings, it's like bells ringing in my ears, because I love the idea of encouraging collaboration in regional communities. Having grown up in Gippsland myself, being in the area, being out of the area, returning back to the area after a stint of 10 years in the city. So it's almost, for me, the challenge was that I had to kind of sell who I was again to the region before people were kind of interested in investing in me, and that was their time and effort, not so much money, but just their time and effort. And I really see that as being a key driving impact or force, so that we can bring those people together and see that we're not actually in competition with each other. We're there to build a stronger region, which means that everything else thrives. The education, the economy, business, it gets to kind of grow with that, which is really awesome.
Yeah, I think I won't name it, but one of the LGAs said to us many years ago, he said, you know why we like working with you, Phil? I go, why? He goes, you don't treat us like country bumpkins. You actually recognise that there's awesome people here, and it's not about you coming in and telling us how it should be done. It's about working together. And this is where the whole idea of the project was. And as much as, well, maybe I'll just skip to the showcase, which is a great example of this. So the state government they had this regional digital fund, which has actually co-funded, it's not purely a thing, 29 projects across regional Victoria. These projects are based around 4 themes. The actual showcase itself, I should say, is on Monday, the 6th of September. It's a 3-hour showcase to talk about these projects, but there was around 4 themes. The first one was connectivity, and then there is digital hubs, digital inclusion, and then digital health. And the thing that's come out of this, having interviewed, actually there's 25 stakeholders involved, because some have more than one, is that connectivity is the biggest one. So obviously digital connectivity is so key, because if we want to create that even playing field, you can't have a digital hub where people want to go as a community or businesses unless you've got good connectivity. And also there's the physical aspect with that. You can't have digital inclusion projects on career pathways or business support to help people unless you've got really good connectivity. And even with digital health, some of those projects are things related to like LoRaWAN or narrowband IoT, to like measure sensors to look at remote telehealth or even pediatric health. So just using telehealth for kids so they can do assessments without having to drive to the children's hospital for a 20-minute checkup, so connectivity is so key, and that's the first wave of what needs to be done, and then supporting that. So the showcase, which has come off the back of the work with the I'm really excited about that, because anybody who lives or works in a regional community, and there's projects from Gippsland, so Destination Gippsland have worked with 120 businesses across 6 council areas to upskill those businesses related to tourism. So they're tourism related businesses, but how to be more online and everything else, but like not one-offs, how to help them going through. That's the sort of stuff we do, where people come away and go, actually, I learned something there, and I can, instead of having my hand held, so to speak, I can get to the point where I can actually lead my own decisions, but still have that support crew, that little entourage of people to help you following behind.
And that makes so much sense, because that's I suppose the kinesthetic learning style type that we find is really effective. So we're not just saying, hey, go away and do it, but you're going to do it, show people how to do it, and then they get to learn it, which I think is really, really important. And I really love that idea of the showcase, being able to demonstrate the stories that are happening in regional areas so that they can start to use that as a bit of a framework.
And a blueprint as well, Scott. It's like,
absolutely.
Why can't we take that great idea and use it elsewhere? Because it is unbelievably siloed at the moment, in terms of people are working really hard, but there's just not that visibility. So we need to give people more peripheral vision about all the awesome people, and there's so many out there who are doing good things.
Yes, and that seems to be a parallel conversation that keeps coming up. I think last week it was bioenergy with West Victoria, finding out, Gippsland's doing some stuff in that space as well. I think that conversation with breaking down the silos and connecting people in seems like, I'm hoping it happens sooner rather than later.
Last night, and I apologize to bring in a Disney analogy, but I was watching with my little kids, Raya and the Last Dragon, and it's a fantasy world called Commander, and there's basically all these different cities linked to it. It's like the fang and the tail and the spine, and they all had their own, and talon and stuff, and heart, and they've all got their own strengths and stuff, and then they basically all divide, and basically this thing called the Droon comes and turns everyone to stone. And I did have this moment of going, and then funnily enough, all great hero's journey stories, it all comes back together at the end. I don't want to spoil it for anyone else, but the thing with it is, you look at regional, and it's almost like we need Commander in regional Australia. We need everybody to look at what are the strengths, even from an industry perspective, who's good at what. But the whole thing about the project is who can learn from each other, and not assuming that we know everything, because we don't. None of us do. And I think this is the collaboration aspect of the project as a whole. It's not about 25Eight. Now we created it and we sort of powering it as such, but we want other people to be involved. Even with our programs we do with 25Eight, we look for local mentors and educators to come in and support. Our staff now are in Portland and Bendigo and Ballarat. We're actually not trying to be central. We're trying to just find great people wherever they are, even up in New South Wales as well. So it's a big difference.
Yeah, and just getting back to the types of events that you've got within the regional growth. So you've just mentioned that you've obviously got different people in the different locations. You've talked about the showcase. What is it that's happening as of next week? Because it kind of kicks off next week.
Yeah, so the first event, there's 3 things. There's the summit, which is on Wednesday the 1st. It's an all-day event, but we recognise through the joys of homeschooling and actually having a job and actually running a business, the chances of people sitting still all day are limited. But we do it as a day. where you can register to try and get the maximum connection. But through the day, it's a combination of inspiration. We've got Joe Burston as the inspirational speaker, who set up Inspiring Rare Birds, which I'm an ambassador for as well. Fantastic. Works with school kids to develop entrepreneurship, and also ran a business and grew job capital from a very small business to a large. So she's talking, but then we've got practical examples of people doing great things, but we want people to have takeaways through the day. So in the morning, there is different businesses. So one of them is Buy from the Northeast, which is a collective. There's a local business, Ismo, who actually built the platform. There's a number of councils working together, but then there's over 400 businesses on those platforms using it as a way to sell their way. So that's a great blueprint. It's part of the showcase as well, but telling those stories and what the businesses learn. So in the morning, it's all around that. And then in the afternoon, we've got some more practical sessions where we're actually running some about digital tools. What digital tools should you consider for your business? So accepting, like 25Eight, it's all about assessing the maturity of the people in the business, not how old it is or how many people. So a learning journey is really about, are you a beginner or are you an intermediate? And then trying to upskill based on that. So not having everybody starting on a 400-meter race and assuming that one of them is Usain Bolt and the other one might be Pirate Pete with one leg and a parrot on the shoulder, and expecting them to finish the race at the same time, So the summit's great for this. It's for micro, small and medium-sized business people and the communities and stakeholders, and it brings together the best of business. So sessions in the afternoon, they're more practical, but they're tips and tricks. If you follow those, we've got some ones about how to, growth strategies. We've got people from Clear Dynamics, Roz, who's going to talk about what they're doing in Bendigo. But everybody generally really enjoys it. And there's networking as well. So we've got a session at the end which has been the most popular. People from the Southwest can talk to the Northeast, and then there's no competition. So it's building that community. We've created this sort of regional champions membership. It's just a free thing to get people to keep talking. And we have done the summits in the past that have involved New South Wales and Queensland. So this isn't just purely a Victoria thing. Anyone would benefit. But obviously we would, because of the support of the state government, we're using Victorian examples in the actual summit and the showcase, but it's still going to inspire hopefully anybody across regional Australia.
Oh, absolutely. And that's like the opportunity that you've got and the regional audience has as well, because if they've got the connectivity to connect in, fingers crossed. Gosh, anyone can get access to it, which builds that collaboration even more. And I really love that idea of the networking, because we kind of get told that in a virtual space it's dead, but it's not. It's so important that when we attend events like this, that we stay on, we kind of flick the camera on, we have chats with people, ask questions, because that engagement, that might be the collaboration for the next piece of work that you deliver with someone, or for a region, or to support building that collaboration ecosystem as well, which we're now seeing to start and sparkle, which is really important. Wow, Phil, that's a busy fortnight coming up.
Yeah, it'll keep us busy, but it's great. And, I think we're really blessed to have some great people supporting this. And, it's the community supporting the community. I think that's really key. And, for the summit on the first, for the showcase, so like the target audience is very much the businesses on the summit, but with the showcase, businesses will get something out of it, hope to get some ideas about what that can be done, but also greater the organizations that are involved in those projects, local councils and stuff, and the regional partnerships and things. But like every event we have, we run a number of events, we do events for councils. The chat, even on online, it should be red hot with people messaging and talking. It's not about sitting and listening. We want to create active engagement, and we want this, for us, this is a 10-year project, not a 10-day project. Okay, we have to do this, and we need to work all of us together to actually support and grow collectively, because otherwise it's just not going to happen. So, again, obviously as a call out is please go to www.regionalgrowth.com.au to have a look at the events. Our website is www.25eight.co. But if you go to the summit or the showcase, register anyway, because you'll get heaps of good content. There's a sign up for a newsletter. There's the Facebook page as well, which is just Regional Growth Project. Now we want people to make it feel like it's their project. It's not ours. It's like, how do we actually make everybody to work together? And if you've got great ideas on how we can connect with others, then just let us know, because we want to do this together.
Yeah, that is awesome, Phil. And gosh, we need more stuff like this. But this is a really good starting point. So we're going to push the details out that Phil's just added there through our socials to try and get, I suppose, more people there as well. And Phil, I just want to say a big thank you very much for making the time available today to chat with me about your work with 25Eight and the Regional Growth Project, because for me, they're critical parts of building this ecosystem. And I've really enjoyed watching the work. I got to attend last year and I talked really loudly about it to say, come on, people, we need more of this stuff. So I'm really glad to see it obviously continuing for the next 10 years as well.
Yeah, well, let's hope we can do it. I mean, it's like there's a lot of in-kind love from a lot of people, but we really would thank the state government for believing in us. We've made it free. Every event is free. Okay, we've got masterclasses that follow this, which will also be free from some key digital tools people. We're trying to do everything, at this stage, at least this foundation, to gift on a silver platter to support regional communities and to get this going. So it's really exciting times. And thank you, and thanks to everybody in your community for believing in everything that you're doing as well, because there is a groundswell of belief that this is about being a collective rather than being independent souls. So we've got to just keep pushing that out as a message so that everybody works together.
Absolutely. Yes, we shall collaborate. When we collaborate, we're stronger together.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. All right. Thank you very much for your time today, Phil.
No problems at all. Thanks very much.
Cheers.